So we are going today to the Armenian Genocide Memorial Complex, and it's Armenia's official memorial dedicated to the victims of the Armenian Genocide, and it was built in 1967 on the hill of Tsitsarnakaberd in the capital of Armenia, Yerevan. Every year on April 24th, the Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day, thousands of Armenians gather at the memorial to commemorate the victims of the genocide. And people gather in Tsitsarnakaberd. They lay fresh flowers out of respect for all the people who died in the Armenian genocide. And Armenian Genocide Memorial Complex also has Armenian Genocide Museum Institute that was opened in 1995. The memorial sits on one of three hills along the Hrazdan River that carry the name Tsitsarnakaberd, which means translated as a swallow's fortress, and was the site of what was once an Iron Age fortress. The idea of a genocide monument has its origin in the early 1960s when Jacob Zarobyan was designated first secretary of the Communist Party of Armenia in 1962. And the construction of the monument began in 1966 during Soviet time, when Armenia was a part of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, in response to the 1965 Yerevan demonstrations, during which 100,000 people demonstrated in Yerevan for 24 hours to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the genocide. They demanded the Soviet authorities officially recognize it as a genocide. So the design is 44 meters, still symbolizes the national rebirth of Armenians, and 12 slabs that you just saw are positioned in a circle representing the 12 lost provinces Armenia used to have, which is right now in present-day Turkey. In the center of this circle that we're gonna go right now, and there is at a depth of 1.5 meters, there is an essential flame, and that you can see it through here. So that circle at a depth of 1.5 meters, which this one, and there is an internal flame which dedicated to the 1.5 million Armenian people killed during the Armenian Genocide. So Armenian Genocide, also known as the Armenian Holocaust, was the Ottoman government systematic extermination of 1.5 million Armenians, mostly citizens within the Ottoman Empire and its successor state, the Republic of Turkey. The starting date is conventionally held to be 24 April 1915, the day that Ottoman authorities rounded up, arrested, and deported from Constantinople, now Istanbul, to the region of Ankara 235 to 270 Armenian intellectuals and community leaders, the majority of whom were eventually murdered. The genocide was carried out during and after World War II and implemented in two phases. The wholesale killing of the able-bodied male population through massacre and subjection of army conscript to forced labor, followed by the deportation of women, children, elderly, and the infirm on death marches leading to the Syrian desert. So a lot of women were raped, killed, some of them were captured, forced into harem, were 4 by force converted into the Islam religion. And most people who survived genocide found a shelter protection in foreign countries, and we call it Armenian diaspora. That Armenian diaspora communities around the world came into being as a direct result of the genocide. And so now we're gonna visit the Genocide Museum Institute, and It's opened its door in 1995 on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the genocide, and was built by Armenian architect. So this Armenian Genocide Museum Institute, and since opening its doors, the museum has received 10,000 visitors, including a lot of tourists from outside of Armenia. The Republic of Armenia has turned visiting the museum into part of state protocol, and many official foreign delegations have already visited the museum. These delegations include Pope John Paul II, Pope Francis, President of the Russian Federation, previous presidents of France, Jacques Chirac and François Hollande. And the museum contains historical documents that depicts what's happened to Armenian during the genocide performed by Ottoman Empire, the killing, torture, rape, massacre, forced conversion into Islam, when women were taken into harem and they were converted by force into Islam. Some of them were able to escape from the harem. It shows how children were taken from the parents after parents were executed, and they forced into the Ottoman Empire army, and they were converted and raised as Muslims. Museum also was open to the public for guided tours in Armenian, Russian, English, French, and German. And this just very astonishing and very detailed historical facts about Armenian question, that what they called, and what's happened to innocent Armenian population when they try to preserve their dignity, their religion. They denied to be converted into Islam, and they stayed true to their Christianity. And the current director of the museum is Mr. Haik Demoyan, as far as I know. And this is the park around the museum, and there is a view to the majestic Mount of Ararat. So now we are here at the Mother of Armenia statue. Mother of Armenia is a female personification of Armenia. Her most public visual rendering is a monumental statue in Victory Park overlooking the capital city of Armenia. And previously on this place where a statue of Mother of Armenia, it used to be a statue of the General Secretary Joseph Stalin, and that was created as a victory memorial for World War II. So, but in spring 1962, the statue of Stalin was removed, and it was built statue that on the same place was built statue of Mother of Armenia, has a height of 22 meters, and thus making the overall height of the monument 51 meters, including the pedestal. The statue is built of hammered copper, while the pedestal museum is of basalt. And the Mother Armenia statue symbolizes peace through strength. It can remind viewers of some of the prominent female figures in Armenian history. Its location on a hill overlooking Yerevan makes it look like a guardian of the Armenian capital. And every year on May 9, thousands of Armenians visit the statue of Mother Armenia and lay flowers to commemorate the Armenian martyrs of the Second World War. And it has a beautiful view of the city of Yerevan as well. And the pedestal hosts the Mother Armenia Military Museum of the Ministry of Defense.